Hey guys, so a little over 24 hours after King of Table 13, in this video I want to talk about probably the biggest match of the night. However people saw it, the best match of the night, the most entertaining match of the night was Brian Shaw versus Eddie Hall. I did a deep dive coming into this match and people got upset with me when I said, like, I think Eddie moves better on the table. I believe that Eddie has done more work specific to arm wrestling, especially on the table, how to arm wrestle. And they're like, like you're just trying to hype the match and everything. I know Neil Pickup. I think people kind of like they look at him as an announcer, but you have to understand, like, the man lived arm wrestling for the biggest part of his life. He knows arm wrestling like as good as absolutely anyone who has ever been alive, and he knows how to work. He knows how to teach. He understands all the small intricacies. He understands techniques. He understands training. He understands all those things. And at one point, he was the world champion, and he was competing with the best of the best. So him taking on Eddie, and then I saw a lot of comments. People like, look, listen, Eddie doesn't listen. Eddie's a knucklehead. Eddie will do what he wants to do, and there's some truth in that. But Eddie did like amazing job, just literally doing absolutely everything that Neil Pickup told him to do. The training camp in the UK looked really, really good. I watched all the videos. I haven't seen the last, I think, that came out this week, but he looked better and better and better, and that really showed. The opposite, Brian Shaw, longer time in the sport. But listen, like, Brian Shaw doesn't have someone like Eddie Hall. Sorry, someone like Neil Pickup. He doesn't have that guy. The guys that come at training, like, I guarantee you, like, they're good guys, but there's levels to this, levels to understandings, and I think that part people kind of overlooked. Brian was the clear favorite with the size and everything, but if you see the match, and when you see the match, and if you saw the match live on a pay-per-view, Eddie was better arm wrestler. Brian is just a monster. Like, the potential is insane. I think he will be really good, but he has to put a lot of hours on arm wrestling table, and a lot of hours on some specific drills, specific things. Right from the go, Eddie was playing this game like Eddie has no chance. Brian, you already won. This is it. Like, this is it. You won. And if someone thought like that's exactly what he thinks, they really don't follow him, because I think Eddie's a warrior, and like, I knew that was a game. I'm like, okay, they're putting more and more pressure on Brian, trying to get in his head. And if I look at it, like, the match straight away, like, Brian kind of forgot everything he was learned how to arm wrestle. Those rounds that he won, he just clammed down and just go sideways, right? And it's like, that's as basic as it can get, right? There was no real back pressure. He was at start, he wanted to slip, and let's talk about a little bit about the match. So Eddie did great jobs in setups, attack, exploded. First round, he got the pin. He got the wins. Brian made 2 elbow fouls, if I'm correct. Then he pinned him in the strap, and all the time he was like, Brian, don't slip, don't be a pussy, don't slip. And like, all that got into his head. I think their game plan was, they thought like, okay, maybe Brian has an edge in the strap, but turned out it was opposite. And like if you think the match wasn't close, it was this close, because Eddie, and I think that's where his ego kind of came into play. I think Neil was shouting, just slip, and he didn't slip. And if he would have slept, there might be a different outcome. I'm really happy for this match. I'm happy for both guys. Both guys introduced to arm wrestling, looked great. Brian definitely, he knows the work ahead of him. He understands all this. He's a good, strong guy that understands the struggles, and now he first-handedly saw the struggles. And people wanted to match him up versus a seasoned arm wrestler. Like, that's a bad news. Even if you're strong, that's a bad news. He might still win most of the guys because he's just a giant, right? Just absolute giant. Like, he was the biggest thing we like, I think he's the biggest human I have ever seen, right? But you have to understand, arm wrestling is not that easy. It's just not that easy. They would talk with Levin. Levin's like, you know, I would love if it'd be faster, but I would think like 2-5 years. Everyone, you will last 2-5 years, because most people know that's how long it takes for you to develop skills if you have the power. And then some guys, they will have great skills, they don't have power, so you have to develop the opposite. For Brian, just training, practicing, competing, and eventually he will get there. I kind of talked about the match. I did a like Instagram story, and some people, they're like, you know, like, amateurs, why you say this? Like, listen, that was the match of the night, because the guys' arm wrestling level was so close. That was interesting, and it was back and forth, and they were fighting from beginning till the end. Like, literally from beginning till the end, they were fighting, and that was the best part. Sometimes arm wrestling IQ, some guys have too high, and it kind of like just doesn't work. You know all the things, and I think their level of arm wrestling was so closely between each other, and Brian just like is just a giant. Like, he didn't have to like really arm wrestle, right? But real arm wrestle were gonna give him a ton of problems. If you don't think that way, like, okay, like you think like, I don't think Eddie Hall right now could beat any of the pros. I'm 100% sure of that, right? So Brian Shaw is just somewhere there, maybe just a little bit higher, but again, he gets someone with the fast attack, with somewhat good lever, good top roll. He will be in trouble. It will take time to develop. I'm excited to see the journey, and I'm going to follow the journey. Spend a little time with both Brian and Eddie together is the funnest thing ever. I like how they get on each other's nerves, mostly Eddie on Brian's. Brian definitely, like, he loved this. He just embraced all of this. He was looking at the tournament. He liked the prelims. He was there everywhere. So I'm excited to see him grow. Like, listen, guys, like, this is, you need to understand, like, it's so easy to put someone on a pedestal and then just push him off, right? So I didn't say much about this. I didn't say much about any of the guys, and I said, I want to see, right? And that's what we want to see. We want to see growth. So if you want him to be the 11th Slayer that we kind of want him to see, you need to allow him to learn, to grow in his own pace. Like, just, you need to understand that. If you're trying to rush things, very easily he could lose to someone that you don't think he should have lost, and it's all over. All the hype is over. Like, you know, like, people will kind of rub it under the rug and just nothing. But we want this to be somewhat slow process, right? Arm wrestling isn't fast. It's because it just comes with all the pain and all the understanding on the table. I do think, like, every month he's going to improve. If he continues to arm wrestle, he's going to improve. Eddie Hall is looking really good. I heard there's a possibility he's going to continue arm wrestling, which would be great. I know him and Auden has been going back and forth. I think that's a match. I think if you give Eddie more time now to prepare, he will be even dangerous, because he will really take it seriously. And I think some parts of this, he definitely enjoyed it. None of the guys got hurt. There was one moment when the kind of, like, I think Brian got a pin, and there was like a crack, and I thought, like, oh no, but that was just a microphone. It was the highlight of the event. By far. Listen, guys, if you don't, like, my belief is this will ×2 arm wrestling as soon as the match comes out for wider public, and then Eddie and Brian will post their parts on their channels, social media. It's just gonna explode, and the whole shit talk from Eddie Hall was absolutely hilarious. If you haven't seen it, listen, get the pay-per-view. If you haven't, I enjoyed the show. This was the best King of the Table by far. That was the highlight of the event. Everyone in attendance, they loved it. Yeah, that's about this match. I'm going to talk more in depth of all other matches in next video, but I think this one just deserves a separate video to talk about. And I would love to hear your thoughts. What did you thought about this match? Did you expect? I think most people just didn't expect. If you say you expected it, right, then you are 10% out of those 90% that said, like, no chance for Eddie, or Eddie will be like what's the point of making this match? So don't lie, okay? I expected Brian to dominate, like me and Giannis. We did the last video, and I said I expected Eddie to dominate. Sorry, Brian to dominate, but I expected Brian to win. Sorry, I'm completely lost. It's been a very long day. I expected Brian to win, but I expected Eddie to look good. Anyways, guys, it's been great. Yeah, King of Table 13 is in the books. Hope you enjoyed the show. I'll talk about the whole event with all the spoilers, sorry, in next video. Stay strong.